What's going on, Men of Winter? My name is Sputnik, and today we're watching some more Game of Thrones. But this time we're doing something a little different. Today we're going to be watching the Game of Thrones History and Lore, Season 1. Alright folks, so we finally made it. You guys have been seriously hyping up this History and Lore. I guess this is mainly just background info for Season 1, and I'm here for it. Season 1 took a toll on me, but we made it through. I'm excited to start Season 2, and yeah, so here we are. I don't really have much expectations for this. I can tell from like the first 10 seconds or whatever, it looks like it's different like stories from Westeros or whatever, narrated by characters from Game of Thrones, which is super interesting, or at least maybe that's just the first section, because I see the Children of the Forest, the First Men, and the Andals by Bran Stark, so it's interesting. And I wonder how much of this is directly coming from like the books, or if this is like a little mix of like the lore of the TV show and the books. It's interesting. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, other than that, I want to hop right into it. If you are watching and you're a big fan, if you've enjoyed so far, might as well go ahead and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it, and like and comment as well. And if you're interested in supporting us on the Patreon, you can watch the first episode of Season 2 right now in the description. My uncut reaction is there on the Patreon, and for $5 a month, you can subscribe and be a week ahead on our Game of Thrones reactions. That's right, folks. I mean, other than that, you see I have my notes ready to go right here. We got a 1 hour and 10 minute long episode ahead of us, so let's all just hop right into it. Alright, folks, so I just watched the first 3 minutes, and I realized I'm going to have to pause a crap ton. So what I figured I'd do is watch it using the screen recorder, so I can actually pause and then not have to do a ton of finicky editing. So I'm gonna rewatch the first 3 minutes. I already wrote a ton of notes. I feel like I'm back in school, but I mean, yeah, I feel like we should be good to go now. So we're starting. Children of the Forest, the First Men, and the Andals. All right. I'm gonna do a lot of theorizing here.
Before the coming of man and the raising of castles and cities, there were only the children of the forest.
I don't know where to put this.
Little is known of them now, but it is said they were small in stature, dark and beautiful, and no taller than children when grown to manhood. They lived in the depths of the forests.
So, would you consider the Children of the Forest like dwarves, I guess?
They hunted with weirwood bows and armed themselves with blades of obsidian. Their wise men were called green seers and were possessed of a powerful magic. Green seers. They worshipped nameless, faceless gods of the forest, stream, and stone.
Okay.
According to legend, it was they who carved faces in the great white trunks of the majestic weirwoods.
Got that part.
Their deep-cut eyes were red with sap and ever watchful. 12,000 years ago, the first men came from the eastern continent, crossing a land bridge called the Arm of Dawn. Riding their great horses and wielding weapons of bronze, they cut down the children's forests and weirwoods. A terrible war raged between the children and the first men that lasted for centuries.
And then, yeah, yada yada yada, they
the two races
came to a peace treaty at like God's Eye. I watched the first 3 minutes, so yeah.
They met on a small isle in the center of a great lake called the God's Eye.
Oh, the lake was called.
It was there they forged the pact. The first men would be granted dominion over
I love
the
the art style too, I have to say.
The high plains and the bogs, but the deep forest would forever belong to the children.
I wonder where the deep forest is in our modern Westeros map.
To seal the pact
is that like
before the gods,
towards the north?
Children carved a face in every weirwood tree on the island, which came to be known as the Isle of Faces.
What is a wayward tree? That's what I want to know.
The pack could not withstand the coming
I have
of
so
the
many
Andal,
notes here. I gotta chill.
A race of tall, fair-haired warriors. They attacked with fire and weapons of steel, slaughtering the children of the forest wherever they could find them, burning out their weirwood groves, hacking away at the faces of the old gods, and spreading their own.
This is the Andals doing this? Yeah.
Centuries of war followed, and the Andals conquered every kingdom in Westeros, save one.
I bet you those are like the ancestors of the...
Kings of Winter were able
I guess it's
to
too far back
withstand
to relate them to a single house.
Descendants of the first men dwell there to this day, and continue to worship the old gods. As for the children of the forest, those who survived the slaughter
so the old gods,
far north,
the children of the forest are the new gods, possibly? I should know this by now.
Most assume they're long dead, and some don't believe they ever existed. They live on only through song and legend, and in the faces of the weirwood trees.
Alright, so I got that part now. Age of Heroes, this is new to me.
When Aegon the Conqueror invaded Westeros, he had 7 kingdoms to contend with. The Kingdom of the North, the Kingdom of the Mountain and the Vale.
Now they have more specific
the
names,
Iron Islands,
I guess.
the Kingdom of the Rock, the Kingdom of the Reach,
Nobody's talked about the Kingdom of the Rock.
Stormlands,
Or the Stormlands in the modern world.
These regions had been established by
Vale
the
we have
first
heard
men
of, though.
thousands of years before, in the Age of Heroes. One hero of this fabled age was Bran the Builder. Bran raised the wall and built the stronghold of Winterfell.
Ah, okay. Bran built the Winterfell stronghold wall. Bran the Builder. How long ago was this? Built. Wall. Okay, cool.
House Stark and reigning as the first king in the north.
Oh, what? Back.
House Stark and reigning as
10 seconds back.
One hero of this fabled age was Bran the Builder. Bran raised the wall and built the stronghold of Winterfell, establishing House Stark and reigning as the first king in the north.
Oh, so he was the first Stark people of the Stark dynasty, I guess then. First. All right, so that's very simple for me to understand. First dude is the dude that made the wall. Easy to remember. That's cool.
Other legends tell of the Grey King in the Iron Islands. Grey King took a mermaid to wife and defeated Naga, the first sea dragon.
King. Oh, okay, so that's a lot at once. King that married a mermaid and killed a sea dragon. So we got mermaids and sea dragons. Grey King, mermaid wife. I'm gonna be more selective with what I write down because this whole thing is basically a lesson. So maybe I'll just focus more and write less. We'll see. Yeah. Okay.
Of Pike, the current rulers of the region, claim to descend from him.
Okay.
House Casterly ruled the gold-rich Westerlands from their mighty seat of Casterly Rock.
Casterly Rock.
But their lands and power were swindled from them by the legendary trickster, Lan the Clever.
Lan the
The
Clever.
noble house of Lannister is said to have descended from him.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Lan the Clever. I'll just call him the head of the Lannisters. Even though it's not confirmed, we can guess so, because he was a slippery little bitch, so that makes sense.
Verdant and fertile lands of the Reach were first ruled by House Gardener, whose founder, known as Garth Greenhand, wore a crown of flowers and
These
vines.
names, the gardener.
He ruled from Highgarden as the first king of the Reach, and was said to have made the land bloom.
Okay.
Many noble houses trace their bloodlines back to him, including the current lords of Highgarden, House Tyrell.
Tyrell?
In
We have
the
not heard Tyrell
Stormlands,
yet.
according to ballads of the age, a warrior named Durin fell in love with Elenai, whose father was god of the sea and mother was goddess of the wind.
Okay, this is like legends, right?
She gave her maidenhead
Because we don't
to him,
have gods
committing herself
living.
to a mortal life.
Wow.
In rage, her parents called upon the winds and waters, destroying Darren's Bayside keep and wiping out his wedding guests.
Yikes.
Darren declared war on the gods and rebuilt his keep, which
How does
was
that
also
go, Darren?
destroyed. 4 more castles he raised, each stronger than the last. All fell to the power of the
I
gods.
respect that. You know, he's a
But
determined
Darren's
bitch.
7th castle, Storm's End, withstood the gods' rage.
Wow.
Darren became known as Darren Godscream
Daenerys? Or
and
no.
reigned as the first Storm King.
Something about yeah. King.
There are countless other tales from the
Storm
Age of
King,
Heroes.
because that reminds me of, isn't like Daenerys' nickname like Storm something or whatever? Anyways, Storm's End, created by Darren to spite the gods. Cool.
Too many to count. These histories weren't recorded in a book, but passed down from generation to generation
Yeah,
through story and song.
they gave me that
And while
vibe.
some of them may be dismissed as fairy tales,
That's what I was thinking.
every one of the 7 kingdoms is defined by them.
True. Hey, history is written by the victors and whatnot. Valeria and the Dragons by Viserys.
East of Westeros lies the Smoking Sea, where no ship dares sail.
Okay.
There are those who swear it to be demon-haunted, and who's to say they're wrong? For it was there, thousands of years ago, that a cataclysmic event occurred, destroying one of the great civilizations in history.
What was that? Another
The
storm?
precise details of their origins are lost to us,
The dragons?
But it is said the Valyrians were once a modest community of shepherds, tending their flocks on a small peninsula of the great eastern continent.
Cool.
One fateful day, in a volcanic area known as the 14 Fires,
14
they
fire.
made a
Double
shattering
setting.
discovery.
Wow.
Dragons.
Cool.
They were monstrous, scaled creatures with massive wings, sharp claws, and fiery breath.
Those do sound like
They were
dragons.
also said to have a deep-rooted connection to magic. In time, the Valyrians were able to tame the beasts. Harnessing their immense power, they established a city of wonder, unlike any before or since. They became skilled at sorcery and metallurgy,
Wow.
creating uncommon weapons of spell-forged
So,
steel.
pretty much everyone they mentioned to have like different types of swords or whatever. But I've heard Valyrian steel mentioned many times. So does that have like some elements that are conducive to like sorcery or something, or is it just known to be like that good shit? That's interesting. Very interesting.
Wielding these weapons astride their dragons, the Valyrians conquered the surrounding lands and slowly expanded west. At the time, the
Oh my God,
Giscari
look at that.
Empire dominated much of the great
I thought it was a
eastern
gargoyle,
continent
but is that a...
and tried to stop Valyria's expansion. The Giscari legions attacked the Valyrians 5 times, but could never defeat them. Finally, the Valyrians marched on their capital, Old Gis, and obliterated it, turning
so
its
they
streets and buildings to
destroyed
ash with dragon flame, and wiping the Giscari people and their culture off the face of the earth.
Dang! I mean,
The
if you got
freehold
dragons,
of
you can do shit
Valyria,
like
as
that.
it came to be known, became the most advanced civilization in the known world.
Wow.
With its own language.
So, most advanced civilization. Most advanced. And now all their ancestors are wiped the fuck out. If that ain't a... Shit. That is some scary shit.
Language, gods, and culture.
I really love these
The
drawings. I keep saying
Valyrians'
it, but I love
reach
it.
extended far and wide, covering most of the continent. Great cities were built and roadways paved, all of which led back to Valyria. The freehold would prosper for nearly 5,000 years.
Okay.
But it was not to last.
What happened?
An event that became known only as the Doom laid waste to the Valyrians, their capital city, and its surrounding lands.
Okay.
The peninsula itself was shattered, becoming what is now the Smoking Sea.
Was that like
Every
a...
dragon was
bunch
thought
of
to be
comets?
lost, as were the Valyrian spells, knowledge, and recorded history.
Wow.
Thus, the mighty empire collapsed. What caused this cataclysm? No one knows for certain.
Sounds like they just
Some
had a
say
bunch
it
of
was
meteors
volcanic
crash.
eruption. Others say the Valyrians' own sorcery got the better of them. In any event, the Doom's devastation of the Valyrian people was total, with the exception of a small rocky island in the narrow sea. Dragonstone.
Dragonstone.
For it was there that the Targaryens, the last of old Valyria, dwelled. They would lie in wait for another 100 years before unleashing the fury of the dragon on another continent,
Wow.
Westeros.
You would have thought... That's a great story. I loved that. You would have think it'd be smart to put like their eggs in more... literal dragon eggs in more than one basket and maybe wait more than 100 years to try to strike back and piss people off, because like you want to rebuild. I don't know how true this is to like true human history and stuff like that, because I guess a lot of peoples could be very insular and not want to spread out, because then they would probably grow into be different groups and have different beliefs and stuff like that. So I get it, but having whole groups just wiped out like that, I mean, I'm sure it's happened in history, and I like that it's not known whether it was their sorcery or whatever that did it, but yeah, I think that's the cool thing about lore in history, is that you don't know exactly what happened. It is like kind of just up to, you know, what you think is most reasonable to have happened using Occam's razor and stuff. But also, it's just like, yeah, I love, and I also love that how realistic it is. Like the further back you go, the more magical and fantastical it is. Really loving this so far. All right, should I bring this over here and just no, I can't reach. Come on, baby. Nope, it's not gonna reach. All right. I don't want to keep reaching up. And Nod's sitting right here. I can't use her as a whatever. Because I want to write. What if I just... Here. Boom. I'm a genius. Alright. Big brain over here. The history of the Night's Watch. Ooh, this is what I want to hear. Wait, who was it by? I gotta see. Lord Commander Jor. Mormont. So this is...
And now my watch begins. It shall not end.
The guy that gave...
until my death.
What's his name of the sword?
I shall take no wife.
John.
Hold no lands. Father no children. I shall wear no crowns. And win no glory.
Yep.
I shall live and die at my post.
I don't know if I can do it, y'all.
Darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realms of men.
Okay.
I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch for this night and all the nights to come.
Yep.
Legend tells of a winter that lasted a generation and of a vast and terrible darkness that fell across the land. It came to be known as the Long Night. In the midst of this darkness, the White Walkers emerged from the far north.
Now we get to find out about them.
With their armies of the dead, they waged war against the living.
So, with their armies of the dead, but not being armies of the dead. So that's crazy. Yeah, we saw that they created... I thought that's what just White Walkers were. In episode 8, I believe, we saw that they brought people back to life or whatever. But I can't wait to figure out how they do that. Yeah. The Long Night. I wrote night with a K. The Long Night, not the Long Night. The Long Night might have a very different... might be known for something else. All right.
To villages and holdfasts, leaving terror and destruction in their wake. After years of brutal conflict and unbearable loss, an alliance of the first men and the children of the forest managed to drive the walkers and their minions back into the frigid northern wastelands from whence they came.
Okay, they didn't mention this before, but...
To prevent another invasion,
I thought the Andals might have been who they
erected the wall. Yeah. A massive fortification.
So this is like, I guess in history, you know, different people regard different groups different, because when Brandon was talking about it, he was calling this the age of men, but when they're talking about the first men, that was in the first story we got. Were the first men the people that settled in the north? I thought the children of the forest were, but maybe I'm getting it wrong. Because, yeah, the children of the forest went high north, so they were wiped out, so, yeah. Okay, interesting.
Feet in height, stretching from the Frostfang Mountains in the west to the Bay of Seals in the east.
Bay of Seals?
It was a structure unlike any ever built.
Built by Brand the Builder.
Some maintain it could only have been completed with the aid of giants, or using the powerful magic.
I can't wait to find out if there really were giants. I don't know what to trust in this world.
Men were required to guard and maintain it, and thus the Night's Watch was born.
Okay.
A sworn brotherhood, tasked with defending the realms of men.
Yeah, I know this.
Against the dark forces
of the north
beyond. Upon taking his vows, a brother of the Night's Watch serves for life.
Okay.
It is a life of hardship and great sacrifice, so the oath must not be taken lightly. The punishment for desertion
is death.
The Night's Watch is divided into 3.
I'm gonna pause it. Is it kind of just because it's like such a harsh job that they knew if people could? Now we're gonna. Sorry, Nod. Sat on my pen. Yeah, baby. You enjoying this lore? All right, let's get back to it. Now I can just press the space button. Oh, we're starting. Okay.
The builders and the stewards.
Rangers, builders, stewards.
While all Black Brothers are expected to take up steel should the need arise, the Rangers are the true warriors of the
Rangers.
Watch. Centuries come and gone.
They haven't talked about the builders.
The White Walkers have yet to return, another threat has emerged.
What?
Barbarian tribes known as
Wildlings. Yep.
The Rangers are charged with defending the realm against these lawless savages.
Damn.
The builders are carpenters, masons,
they
miners,
upkeep the castle, I guess.
Tasked with maintaining the wall, as well as its various keeps, towers, and structures, which have fallen into disrepair over the years. The stewards serve as cooks.
And maybe
butchers,
keep records of
hunters.
stuff.
They tend to the horses and messenger ravens, sew clothing, gather firewood, and bring supplies up from the south.
Okay.
The
so
Night's
just
Watch is a diverse group. Proud volunteers from noble houses stand side by side with petty thieves conscripted from dungeons.
it's interesting.
Class distinctions are left behind, as are
I respect
tasteless deeds. A man gets what he earns on the wall. And even the lowliest gutter snipe can rise up in rank if he proves himself worthy. For thousands of years, the brothers of the Night's Watch have stood their lonely vigil.
Okay.
As the seasons changed, as brutal wars
How long ago
raged
was
in the
Bran?
south, as
Y'all let me know.
dynasties
Bran the
rose
Builder.
and fell, the Night's Watch endured. We are the swords in the darkness. We are the watchers on the wall. We are the shields that guard the realms of men.
I respect it. I loved it. Sounds like a little... Oh, so I was about to say, it sounds like a little propaganda piece, to be honest, because I'm like, aren't y'all going to tell us any of the stories when they all got overrun or when you failed or a little bit? But now we're getting more of the history of the Night's Watch from Maester Lewin, which... Was that the douchebag? That was like, kept pushing, John? I'm trying to remember. Or was that, the blind guy? You guys let me know.
Joining the Night's Watch, or taking the Black, is a singular honour for any northerner. For it was in the north, some 8,000 years ago, that the first men drove back the White Walkers, erected the wall, and established the sworn brotherhood that would guard the realm and its people.
Wait, how long?
from the
Sorry.
day-
I don't
And
know.
that the first men drove, for it was in the north, some 8,000 years ago,
8,000.
that the first men drove back the White Walkers, erected the wall, and established the sworn brotherhood that would guard the realm
So
and its
Bran
people
was 8
from the
8K
dangers
years ago.
beyond. Regrettably, the Night's Watch no longer commands the widespread respect and admiration it once did.
We're good.
While House Stark and other houses in the northern regions continue to recognize its vital importance to the safety and stability of the realm, this view is not shared by the powerful houses of the southern kingdoms.
Yeah, this is what I was just
or their
talking about.
subjects. Most regard the Watch as a misguided, obsolete order made up of useless outcasts. Admittedly, the current Night's Watch is a shadow of its former glory.
That I can believe.
Their numbers have dwindled to less than 1,000. Of the 19 castles along the wall,
What
only
is the population of Westeros right now? That's what I'd like to know. Let me know in the comments at the time of the show. What is the population of Westeros?
less than 1,000. Of the 19 castles along the wall,
There's only one left?
only 3 are functional.
Okay.
The Shadow Tower, Castle Black, and East Watch by the Sea. And the Watch's mandate of adding to the wall has been abandoned entirely.
So they're just maintaining.
There are barely enough resources to maintain it.
Oh,
Recruiting officers, known as Wandering Crows,
That's
scour
who
the
saved
dungeons
Arya.
and slums of the realm in hope of finding men to fill the ranks. While there is still the occasional highborn volunteer, the newest recruits are almost entirely made up of lowly criminals.
that makes sense.
Thieves, rapists, and murderers, sentenced to the wall as punishment for their
I'm
crimes.
so silly.
The decline of this once fabled order is troubling, as the danger it guards against is all too real.
Yeah.
While the White Walkers haven't been seen or heard from in ages, and may very well be the stuff of myth, barbarian tribes
They're
that
just
dwell
like
beyond
the frickin' Targaryens are, getting their bearings back up for like 100 years up there in those mountains or whatnot. That's probably what the White Walkers are doing.
the wall, known as wildlings, have been a menace to the north and its people for generations.
Yeah, they tried to kill Bran and steal his horse.
At certain points in history, the disparate wildling tribes have united behind a single leader, a king beyond the wall, and attempted large-scale attacks against the realm.
Jesus.
But thanks to the resourceful and courageous men of the Night's Watch, these so-called kings were soundly defeated.
Cool.
While many have lost faith in the Night's Watch, The people of the North are steadfast in their belief that the Black Brothers will answer the call of duty.
Ooh, Black Brothers, I love that.
But with winter coming, diminished numbers, and a lack of widespread support, will they be ready?
I'm fearing no, and I'm fearing they're not caught by surprise. Especially with Arya headed on up there, like, ugh, this is such a realistic part. I'm loving the lore here, because it's so realistic that a very important institution would just be, like, kind of dwindled down over the ages and not be given the importance it has, because they did so well in the past, probably keeping, you know, the North safe, that people are like, oh, we don't need to care, things are fine up there. And then one big strike is probably gonna cause so much damage. And then winter, which sucks. I wish, like, the Southerners had to deal with whatever comes from the North first, but no, our people up in Winterfell are gonna have to deal with it first. Fuck. I mean, other than the Castle Black, but, you know, it just sucks that they're one of the first lines. Ooh, the history of the Night's Watch. Tywin. Okay. Tywin. Oh, this is Tyrion's father, of course.
The wintry north, an army of demons emerged from beneath the icy ground and spread darkness and despair across the land.
Okay.
Astride their monstrous spiders, flanked by giants, they wreaked havoc on
Giants? Monsters and... Okay, sorry. Spiders and
the
giants?
innocent,
Jesus Christ.
slaughtering thousands. All hope was lost until the fearless warriors of the first Night's Watch drove them back into the wintry mountains and built a magic wall to keep them from ever
It's
invading
magic?
again. These stalwart brothers in black continue to protect us even to this day from the
Amen.
evils that lurk in the shadows.
Totally.
An absurd lie. A fairy tale.
I figured he was going to be a hater. I was like, why is he bigging it up so much? I love that little twist there.
Spun by many a wet nurse in the north. To be sure, a giant wall does exist. A triumph of engineering, perhaps, but not of magic. As for the Night's Watch,
Just because it's not magic doesn't mean it's not important. Tywin.
there may have been a time centuries ago when there was prestige and honor in the miserable monastic life of a Black Brother. But now, the wall has become a glorified penal colony, full of outcasts, criminals, and assaulted ne'er-do-wells.
Alright, I gotta pause. I am loving this shit, y'all. I just realized this is reminding me of, like, back in school when we'd have to read, what's it called? Just read historical documents, from different perspectives or whatever. And we're given, we had to, like, kind of suss out our opinions on them or whatever. Because, like, you know, we usually were just given a textbook that verbatim said what happened or whatever, but even that had propaganda behind it, obviously. But yeah, this is, like, so cool because we get to see, I get to make my own assessment of it, all the lore going on here, from different perspectives with different, you know, motivations behind what they're sharing. Just like real history. Love this. Love it.
Today, a typical man of the Night's Watch most likely started out a lowly beggar, or a rapist, or a village idiot.
Mm-hmm. But we know that some of them were framed and stuff. Like the guy that talked to Ned, or to John.
Few high-born watchmen. They either fought on the losing side of a war, or were disowned by their parents for one reason or another.
Yeah.
Those who persist in defending the Night's Watch,
Like Sam,
will claim the Seven Kingdoms need...
Wait a second. Is this the actual voice actors from the show? Holy shit. Because that sounds like him. Like Tywin.
protection from the wildling tribes of the far north. But there's little to fear from those primitives. They're a nuisance, but not sophisticated or powerful enough to be a significant threat to the realm. And any talk of White Walkers returning with their armies of the dead and their giant spiders and their snarks is just that. Talk.
Pause. This is, he's very much, who would I compare him to now in the, it's kind of like a, I guess, like, what would you call it? Like a COVID denialist or whatever, like someone that benefits from the status quo so much so that they're like, we don't need to invest money in preparing for a pandemic coming or anything like that. Like, yeah, I was gonna say like kind of the inverse of like a 9/11 truther. Not that there's, all right, we're getting deep into some real lore, but like, yeah, just someone that benefits from kind of diminishing a real threat or whatever. Of course, I know not to trust Tywin, but I mean, it is good if you get a more rounded view of this topic. All right, Old Gods and the New. All right, this will be good. By Bran Stark and Catelyn Tully. Catelyn's his mom, right? Am I getting that right? Not the sister, the mom. Catelyn's his mom. This will be interesting.
In the Seven Kingdoms of Westeros, the dominant religion is the
This
faith
is their
of
voice
the
actors.
Seven.
It sounds like it.
First brought to its shores by the Andals some 6,000 years ago.
But there are some who still keep to the old way, worshipping the faithless gods of the children of the forest.
Okay. Old Gods North. I keep asking and forgetting. Old Gods North or Winterfell Gods. And the New Gods are everyone else, I guess. Gods. I'm sure, yeah, the Dothraki probably believe in different too, so they're excluded from that. Yeah, they believe in the sun and the moon and whatnot.
Best men.
Oh, I wonder if we get Dothraki lore here.
Gods are countless, nameless spirits of nature. In ancient times, the children of the forest carved faces in the trunks of the weirwood trees, which became sacred symbols of their faith. In time, the first men adopted the children's gods as their own.
The first man adopted the children's. Okay, so the first men are yeah, because we know they fought, but then they kind of worked together, and then the Andals took out the children of the woods or whatever. So they're kind of a synthesis of those cultures, I guess. The first men, and that's who went on to be like Bran and the Starks. Okay, are the Andals probably? Hopefully, we'll get more about that. Who the Andals are? Do they correlate more to like the Southerners? Interesting.
Most castles at that time contained a godswood with a weirwood or heart tree at its centre.
Meanwhile, across the narrow sea, a new religion was born in the hills of Andalos.
Okay.
According to legend, the god of seven revealed itself to the Andals, and the invasion of Westeros followed soon after. The Andals sailed across the sea on ships armed with weapons of steel. Some warriors carved a seven-pointed star into their skin as a symbol of their new faith.
Okay, so 7-pointed star. I'm gonna draw one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now it's a little off. But yeah, the 7-pointed stars. That's like someone getting a freaking cross tattoo, I guess, or whatever, or a Star of David tattoo. Do people get tattoos of religious stuff? I feel like that's a little different in like the modern world, but yeah.
The
Interesting.
invaders destroyed most of the weirwoods in the southern lands, slaughtered the children of the forest wherever they could find them, and conquered every kingdom of the first men, save the north. In time, the faith of the Seven spread like wildfire throughout the land. The Seven is a single deity with 7 aspects, each symbolizing a different area of life.
It reminds me of like the Christian Trinity or whatever, as well as like the whole them colonizing other places and putting their religion
But
onto
most
them,
people
I guess.
refer to the Seven as separate gods.
The mother is prayed to for mercy and
Let me just listen, yeah.
watches over fertility, childbirth, and peace.
Okay.
The father sits in judgment over souls.
Yeah.
The warrior is prayed to for protection, valor, and skill in battle.
Okay.
The crone is the symbol of wisdom and foresight. The smith watches over creation and craftsmanship. The maiden symbolizes purity, love, and beauty.
In my head right now, I'm just comparing, like, the last one was Hephaestus. This one is, I'm comparing it to all the Greek gods, or, like, the Roman gods. This would be Aphrodite.
Finally,
And Hera would be, like, the mother, and the father would be Zeus, possibly. It gives me that energy. I like that.
there is the stranger, rarely prayed to, who represents death.
Oh, all right. I love that. Who would, I guess, would that be 80s? Love
The
that.
faith is highly organized and deeply influential in Westerosi politics and culture as the official religion of the...
By the way, y'all, we will likely... Let me not make promise I can't keep, but we might be reacting to that Percy Jackson show that comes out. We'll see.
Monarchy. Worshippers gather in temples of the faith called septs. The seat of the faith is the Great Sept of Baelor, which is located in the capital city of King's Landing.
Still,
you know what happened there?
In the north, where descendants of the first men dwell, worship of the old gods continues to this day.
Cool.
And the sacred faces of the weirwood trees keep close watch over the faithful.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I respect both different faiths or beliefs or whatnot. You heading out, big baby? Oh, she's trying to get under the... Go ahead. You're good, you're good. Stretch your legs, baby. Alright. Yeah, that was good. The Field of Fire by Rob. Okay. That's cool. I wonder if Ned will have any here or not. Whatever. Okay, yeah, Field of Fire. I really love that one though. That gave me... I fully understand the old and new gods now. Hopefully we'll get Dothraki later.
The ascension of Aegon Targaryen was confirmed, and the fate of the Seven Kingdoms sealed on the Field of Fire. Kings Loren Lannister of the Rock.
Alright, sorry. I need to make sure I get this from the outset. Aegon is Daenerys's father or grandfather? The Mad King, I believe.
And Mern Gardener of the Reach stood against Aegon's invasion. They commanded a united force of 600 banners, 5,000 mounted knights, and 50,000 men-at-arms.
Jesus.
Aegon's host was vastly outnumbered, and when the army of the two kings charged, the invaders turned heel and ran. But Andal Might was no match for Dragonflame. When Aegon unleashed all three of his dragons, 4,000 souls were horrendously burned alive on the battlefield, King Mern among them.
So they can literally command the dragons just to fucking wipe out thousands. That's crazy.
Realizing all hope was lost, King Loren surrendered. The Starks of Winterfell had no intention of submitting to Targaryen rule. They had reigned as kings in the north since the days of the First Men and were determined to resist the Targaryen invaders, just as they had resisted the Andals thousands of years before. King Torrhen Stark led his army to the Red Fork just east of Riverrun, hoping to succeed where Lorne and Mern had failed.
Okay.
But when Torrhen saw the size of Aegon's now mighty host...
Oh man, Torrhen, I love that that is a Stark face. Didn't they say this is this Ned's brother? Or is this Ned's father? I remember Littlefinger gave a description of him as like a broad...
Along with his monstrous dragons. He knew he couldn't subject his followers to the horror of another Field of Fire. He bent the knee and swore fealty to Aegon, who allowed the Starks to maintain their lordship over the region as Lords Paramount and Wardens of the North.
Good choice.
Without question, Torrhen Stark saved thousands of lives that day.
Of course.
He was ever after known as the king who knelt.
Hey, I'd rather be known as the king that knelt that. I'd rather be known as the king that knelt than the king that melted. Trust me, that was a pretty good pun. Come on, guys, give me it. Alright, so this one is by who? Viserys. So he's hearing both sides of the battle. He's gonna call the Stark's little bitch babies, probably.
The days of the Andals were numbered. One by one, their so-called kings were bending the knee or facing the wrath of Aegon Targaryen. Aegon of Old Valyria.
Damn, look at that drawing. Fuck. That armor looks hype and the dragon looks cool too. I love like the old style.
Aegon who was blood of the dragon.
Or her.
After defeating the Iron Men at Harrenhal and slaying the last of the Storm Kings, Aegon and his sisters, Rhaenys and Visenya, set their sights on other prizes. The gold mines of the Rock and the fertile lands of the Reach. King Loren Lannister of the Rock and...
I'm mapping out in my mind the different locations of the Rock and the Reach.
King Mern, Gardener of the Reach, foolishly thought their combined armies could beat back the Targaryen host. They rode forth together, their proud banners flapping in the wind, and faced off against Aegon in a vast golden field of wheat. The two kings commanded a massive force of nearly 60,000, and it appeared the day was theirs.
60,000.
Until Aegon unleashed all 3 of his dragons for the first and only time.
Damn, so Aegon's 3 dragons. Aegon. So all Daenerys has to do with her new army of Dothraki people is have enough time to let her baby dragons heal up and grow to be like healthy, and she's gonna be a force to be reckoned with. She will keep the Targaryen name going. I wonder what name she'll go under. We'll probably see once I watch season 2.
Named after the Valyrian.
I mean, she'll probably still be a Targaryen, but I don't know if the Dothraki will feel cool being called Targaryens. Interesting.
Gods of Aegon's forefathers. Visenya rode Vhagar, whose fiery breath could melt armor. Rhaenys rode Meraxes, whose jaws were big enough to swallow a horse whole. Greatest of all was Balerion the Black Dread, with fire dark as night and wings so huge whole towns were covered.
Fire dark as night. I don't know if I can visualize that. Like smoke, dark as night I could get. Fire?
With fire dark as
like
night
really
and wings so huge whole towns were covered in shadow when he flew overhead. This magnificent creature was ridden by Aegon himself. 4,000 men were bathed in glorious dragon flame that day, on what came to be known as the Field of Fire. King Mern was among the dead, and House Gardener died with him.
Hey, I always respect if the kings actually like die on the battlefield. I'll respect that more than any king that just sits up in his castle.
His stewards, the Tyrells, surrendered his ancestral stronghold of Highgarden to Aegon, and were appointed Lords Paramount of the Reach and Wardens of the South. When Loren Lannister witnessed Mern's fate, he wisely bent the knee. Aegon spared Loren's life, and the Lannisters were made Lords Paramount of the Westerlands and Wardens of the West. After his triumph on the Field of Fire, Aegon's conquest was assured. In a short time, the so-called 7 Kingdoms were melted down in the heat of the dragon's flame and transformed into a single realm. Aegon would forever be known as Aegon the Conqueror.
Okay. So I'm stupid as hell. Aegon is not even like, wasn't even a king of was he a king? Oh, he became, I guess, at this point he became in control of the 7 Kingdoms. Okay. Okay, yeah.
In the far southwest of Westeros.
Wait, what was this one called? The Order of Maesters, okay.
In the far southwest of Westeros, at the mouth of the river Honeywine, lies the great stone city of Old Town.
Okay, we haven't been there yet.
It is home to the Citadel, where men and boys from throughout the kingdoms come to receive their training as maesters. Maesters play an integral role in Westerosi society.
Oh yeah, Maester, the one in not King's Landing, in not Westeros, that's the whole land. The North, fucking I'm forgetting where Ned lives now, or lived. You guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Maester Luwin, he's the one that like teaches Bran and stuff like that.
Serving as scholars, healers, and advisors to the nobility of the 7 Kingdoms. This venerable order of learned men dedicate their lives to serving the realm, and are sworn to occupy a neutral position when it comes to power and politics. Upon completing his training at the Citadel and taking his vows, a maester renounces his family name and takes a vow of celibacy.
Okay.
He is assigned
like
to a castle or keep, and duty-bound to serve as its counselor and healer, even if control of the castle changes hands. A maester's allegiance is to the realm, not to any one family.
Okay. Maesters, Sworn to realm, not to anyone family. So is that whoa, wait. No, am I mixing up my maesters? I know there's the maester in Winterfell. Is the douchebag that like is now, that was pretending to be weak in the last episode, is he a maester as well? I think that would make sense.
His badge of office is a great chain, forged from links of different metals, which he wears around his neck.
Dripped out.
It is a reminder of his role as a servant of the realm, and is never to be removed. A maester forges his chain with study, and each link represents the mastery of a different kind of learning.
Ooh.
For instance, a silver link signifies mastery of the medicinal arts. A golden link represents the study of money and accounting. An iron link indicates knowledge of warcraft. Ravenry is an especially important skill for a maester, as it is he who breeds, trains, and maintains carrier ravens for the delivering of messages throughout the land.
Am I honest? If I'm honest, I should say, for ravens to work, do they have to travel all the way there with the raven, and then from where the home is, so it knows where it's headed to? Because that sounds inefficient as hell. Like, I'm sure they're worth it, but ravens probably only live like 10, 12 years max. So like, hey, I mean, it's more efficient than walking there more than once. So I get it.
There are some maesters who have earned a link forged of Valyrian steel.
Ooh.
This signifies knowledge of the higher mysteries, commonly known as magic.
Ooh.
Only one maester in 100 possesses such a link, as this field of study is frowned upon by many in the Order.
Who cares? Sorcery would be bad as hell. Yeah, so this is some of the magic elements y'all have been telling me about.
It is possible
that show up later
magic
in the show.
may have existed for a time long ago, but most consider the higher mysteries to be long gone from this world.
That's crazy. I love
Service
that.
as a maester is a noble calling, one of vital importance to a prosperous realm. It is little wonder there are some who refer to the Order as the Knights of the Mind.
Okay, Knights of the Mind. Alright, so they're... Yeah, that makes sense to me. It helps me understand them. Knights of the Mind. Alright, heading on. Cool. Mad King Ares by Maester Lewin. I want to look him up, but I don't look up any character's name because I'm scared of spoilers. Mad King Ares. Okay, yeah. Let me know about this.
As word of King Ares' erratic and troubling behavior spread throughout the Seven Kingdoms, Lord Rickard Stark continued to serve his king faithfully as Warden of the North. The proud father of 4 children, his daughter Lyanna, was engaged to Robert Baratheon, the young lord of Storm's End.
So this was Ned's father, okay.
Centuries of peace between the North and the Iron Throne ended the day Rhaegar Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone, abducted Lyanna.
Oh my goodness.
Enraged, Brandon Stark rode to King's Landing, demanding the release of his sister and the death of Rhaegar. Aerys arrested him for treason, and called his father to come to the capital to ransom him. When Lord Rickard complied, Aerys, now utterly mad, arrested him for treason as well.
What the fuck?
Lord Rickard demanded a trial by combat. Aerys declared Fire the champion of House Targaryen, and had Lord Rickard suspended from the rafters of the throne room while pyromancers lit a blaze beneath him.
Oh my goodness. So there was magic. How do y'all think magic doesn't exist if they're talking about pyromancers? But holy shit, this is horrific.
Burned, Brandon was brought into the throne room. A leather cord attached to a strangulation device was wrapped around his neck. Aerys told Brandon his father was a dead man, but there was a chance to save him. A longsword was placed on the floor just out of Brandon's reach, and the more he struggled to reach it, the more the cord tightened around his throat. Brandon Stark strangled himself, trying to free his father, who was roasted alive in his own armor.
Now I'm kind of glad I didn't see that. Like, just these pictures are horrifying enough. So that was Ned's brother. Oh my god, he feels at fault for watching his father be burned alive in front of him. Oh my god. He's sick. The motherfucker is sick. King Ares. Burned Ned's dad. And so Rhaegar was the son of Ares. Rhaegar. Dany's older brother. Dany's older bro. Kidnapped Ned's sister. Holy shit, so he lost 3 family members in that mess. And he still was so strong. Oh my god. Y'all, if we don't get... Now I feel like, Dany, I love you and all, but like, maybe it's good your family was wiped out. Like, sorry.
The entire court stood and watched this atrocity take place. Sir Jaime Lannister and the Kingsguard among them. The Mad King was reported to have laughed hysterically.
Oh yeah, and Jaime was there. Jaime was there. This is in Ned's lifetime, and we're acting like people would forget that magic exists. That's an inconsistency, if I'm to be honest. Or maybe that it's a legend that there was pyromancers and he didn't just probably set something on fire in the area.
As these 2 noble men were tortured and brutally killed before him. Seeking to rid the world of all his supposed enemies, Aerys called for the head of Rickard's younger son, Eddard Stark, and Lyanna's betrothed, Robert Baratheon.
Not gonna happen. Didn't happen.
He sent word to Lord Jon Arryn, who had fostered both young men at the Eyrie, to apprehend them. Instead, Lord Arryn joined houses Stark and Baratheon in rebellion.
Yes.
Robert vowed to kill Rhaegar Targaryen and get his beloved Lyanna back.
Started, and that's what is known as Robert's Rebellion. Oh, and we're gonna hear it from Robert himself, King Rob. Wow. Rob's Rebellion. And who did they say had raised Ned's children? Or Ned raised Ned?
Lord Arryn joined houses Stark and Baratheon. Instead, Lord Arryn joined houses Stark and Baratheon in rebellion.
Joined.
Robert vowed to kill Rhaegar Targaryen and get his beloved Lyanna back.
Whew. Alright, Robert, tell it your way.
Aerys Targaryen was the last of his name to sit on the
these are the voice actors, okay.
Iron Throne. Known far and wide as the Mad King, his was a reign of instability and terror.
Now I'm thinking Luwin is the one in the south. Master Luwin is the southern one, and the Maester. Let me know who the Maester in the north is then of Winterfell.
The Seven Kingdoms are well rid of him and his kind. Oh, he may have appeared to be a capable ruler at first, but that was due in no small part to his counselors led by the hand of the king, Tywin Lannister. There may have been years of peace and prosperity during Aerys's reign, but it was Tywin who was really running the country as Aerys spiraled further and further into insanity. The dragon spawn were famous for losing their minds. It was the price they paid for centuries of keeping the bloodlines pure.
Dragons. Okay.
And Aerys more than happily continued the noble sister-fucking tradition of his forefathers. As the years passed, Aerys's behavior became increasingly erratic. He cut himself so often on his Iron Throne, many referred to him as King Scab, though never to his face. It was rumored he had developed an obsession with wildfire, and was known to inflict horrific punishments on those he considered enemies, including burning them alive.
Okay, so yeah, that is...
As his paranoia and bloodlust grew, he had a bitter falling out with Lord Tywin, who had served the crown faithfully for 20 years. At least Tywin was able to leave the job with his life and fortunes intact. Subsequent hands of King Aerys weren't so fortunate.
Wow.
Then the Targaryens went too far. The Crown Prince Rhaegar abducted Lyanna Stark, daughter of Rickard Stark, the Lord of Winterfell. She was my betrothed.
No.
She was my beloved.
No.
Beautiful and spirited woman. And I loved her more than life
He
itself.
never got over her. We know that for sure.
Rhaegar went south with Lyanna, hiding her away in Dorne. What harm he inflicted on the poor girl, the gods only know. Brandon Stark, Lyanna's eldest brother, was outraged. He rode to King's Landing to confront the king and demand his sister's safe return. Instead, Aerys had him executed. His father, Rickard Stark, as well.
What the fuck?
There wasn't much left to discuss after that.
My deepest apologies, folks. My dumbass forgot to plug in my camera, so the last, like, the last 1.5 or whatnot have been, just the audio will be shown for that, but hey, at least you have the audio, so you know what I was saying. But we shall continue, alright? Big apologies for that. Okay, cool.
Aerys Targaryen's behavior grew more and more erratic. The task of ruling the Seven Kingdoms fell to me, Tywin Lannister. I had served Aerys for nearly 20 years, and as a result, the realm had prospered. The royal coffers were full, the land was at peace. But Aerys grew increasingly hostile, jealous of the success many credited to me. My power and influence unnerved him. The captain of my personal guard, Sir Elyn Payne, was once overheard making offhand comments regarding who was the true ruler of Westeros.
Also, he got mad.
When the king was given this information,
King got mad.
He had Elyn Payne's tongue ripped out with hot pincers. It was my desire.
Wait, did we miss? Did y'all like to see the footage of me reacting to Rob story? That sucks. That was like low key so sad. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna go back and fake my reaction though. So
Lannister and
Targaryen will have to do
marriage. My daughter Cersei would marry Aerys' eldest son, Prince Rhaegar. Such a union made perfect sense for all parties.
But he didn't want her.
However, Aerys' senses had begun to leave him quite some time earlier. Instead of uniting the royal family with its most loyal and powerful ally, Aerys chose instead to insult my family, indicating that such a match was beneath Rhaegar. Instead, he chose Elia Martell of Dorne to be Rhaegar's wife. As if to rub salt in my wounds, Aerys appointed Jaime, my son, to the King's Guard. The King's Guard may be an honor for lesser families than ours, but it is a lifetime appointment that forces him to renounce all family holdings. This creates a difficulty in naming an heir to Casterly Rock. But Aerys knew all that. I had grown tired of the
This gives me the huge vibe. I mean, he's talking about Aerys being out of it somewhat, but he's also like, I don't know. Did I miss a good? I don't think so. But it also gives me the vibe that he's like very spiteful or whatever. Like he thinks this guy didn't have it together, but he also thinks that he was specifically trying to spite him, which could very well be. But I don't know. I view Viserys or not Viserys, Tywin as like a huge egoist probably. So who knows?
Thus, I resigned my post as Aerys' hand and returned to Casterly Rock with my considerable
So they're Casterly-Rockians. They're from Casterly Rock.
When Robert Baratheon rebelled against the throne, Aerys grew fearful that I would join with Robert's forces and rise against him.
Nah, he
thought himself clever and kept Jaime very close, as if warning me. He sunk deeper and deeper into delusion, paranoia, and violence. I've heard it said he became obsessed with wildfire, a substance which, once lit, cannot be extinguished. Convinced he had enemies all around him, he wouldn't allow blades in his presence, save for those of his King's Guard.
Oh, or the huge freaking
Alas, that proved
throne he
to
sits
be his
on.
undoing.
Yeah, that's what your son killed him with, right? Alright, House Targaryen by Viserys. Let's get it.
The Targaryen dynasty united the Seven Kingdoms and lasted nearly
that.
3.
Jeez, this is a whole new animation. What? We got that like sepia-toned animation for this whole thing, and now we're getting this amazing animation. Let me go back and appreciate that.
The Targaryen dynasty united the Seven Kingdoms and lasted nearly 3 centuries. It was a dynasty forged in fire, sealed in blood, and destroyed by rebellion.
Okay.
The Targaryens are blood of the dragon, descended from the nobility of ancient Valyria, a once mighty empire in the east. When the cataclysmic
What the fuck? Oh my god. Ah, what did I hit? The back button?
They worship.
You're actually tripping. You're actually fucking pissing me off. Where was I? Alright, at least the cool animation will highlight where it was. Alright. This is pissing me off, y'all. Alright. Cool. Anyway. House Targaryen by Viserys. Accidentally hit back, so I'm just starting the whole thing over.
The Targaryen dynasty united the Seven Kingdoms and lasted nearly 3 centuries. It was a dynasty forged in fire, sealed in blood, and destroyed by rebellion. The Targaryens are blood of the dragon, descended from the nobility of ancient Valyria, a once mighty
so they
empire
act like they're
in the
literally
east.
blood of the dragon.
When the cataclysmic doom laid waste to Valyria and its people, the Targaryens survived, having settled on the island fortress of Dragonstone years before. They remained there for a century, until the rise of Aegon the Conqueror. Instead of attempting to reclaim the eastern lands of his ancestors, Aegon sailed west for the Seven Kingdoms. His sisters Visenya and Rhaenys at his side.
They became conquerors.
To keep the bloodlines pure, Aegon continued the custom of his Valyrian ancestors and took both of his sisters to wife. Together,
Same as the
they
Lannisters.
came ashore on the eastern coast of Westeros.
Why is that a
Their
blonde
blazon,
thing?
a dragon with 3 heads, representing Aegon and his sister wives. Their words, fire and blood. While their host was small in comparison to the armies of Westeros that awaited them, Aegon and his sisters had a secret weapon. The last of the dragon.
I don't know how you hide
conquered
those,
every
though.
kingdom save Dorne, which eventually bowed to Targaryen rule a century later. He had the swords of his enemies melted down by the fiery breath of his dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, and forged into the Iron Throne.
Wow.
The capital city of King's Landing was built on the eastern coast, where Aegon and his sisters first came ashore. And Aegon ordered the construction of a royal castle on its highest hill, the Red Keep.
Oh.
For 300 years, the Targaryen dynasty stayed strong in the face of rebellion, civil war, and plague. But the line of dragon kings was broken when my father, Aerys Targaryen, the second of his name, was overthrown in rebellion. My father was betrayed and slaughtered by Ser Jaime Lannister, a member of his own Kingsguard. His son and heir, my brother Rhaegar, perished on the field of battle at the hands of Robert Baratheon, who claimed the Iron Throne for himself.
Yeah, Rob.
And so today, the only surviving members of the storied Targaryen dynasty are myself, Prince Viserys, rightful King of the Andals and ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, and my sister, Daenerys.
Wow.
We were spirited away to the free cities of the East by loyalists. Here we have lived in exile ever since, dreaming of a day when we will cross the narrow sea and take back my father's throne.
And you didn't. Well, you didn't. You got melted down. Just like the swords for this Robert's Rebellion. By who? By Robert. Yeah, alright. So we do get a Rob, another Rob one. Okay, good.
Rebellion. The crimes of House Targaryen were too heinous to go unanswered.
Heinous penis.
The noble houses of Baratheon, Stark, and Arryn united to oppose and overthrow the line of the cursed Dragon Kings.
I loved that animation.
While Ned Stark and Arryn secured an alliance with the Tullys of Riverrun, I called the banners of Storm's End and rode out in force against the Mad King and his minions.
Well done.
Gods, those were some battles.
Yeah, we know you
Our
love.
first victory occurred at Summerhall, where I faced off against an army of dragon loyalists and won 3 battles in a single day.
Wow.
3 in one day.
Yeah, we heard you about
7 hells, that was a glorious day.
that. I love how
We tried to
in
take
character
Ashford
he is
Castle in the
narrating.
Reach, but the Tyrrells beat us back. We had to regroup. My army was pursued north by Aerys's army and took refuge in the Stony Sept in the Riverlands. When the Targaryen army entered the town, the Sept bells tolled, a signal to the townspeople of the battle that was to come.
Get out of the way.
As the Targaryens searched from house to house for me, the combined forces of Ned Stark and the Tullys swept into the city.
Hell yeah.
Gods, what a day that was. It's now known as the Battle of the Bells.
Okay.
We overwhelmed the Mad King's forces and sent them scampering back to King's Landing.
Nice.
Aerys's son, Rhaegar, who started the whole damn thing, finally emerged from hiding in the south and assembled his own army to face us.
Good.
As for the Mad King, he must have been pissing himself. The battle that would decide the fate of the 7 kingdoms occurred at the crossing of the Green Fork of the Trident River. Rhaegar commanded the royal host, which was some 40,000 strong. My forces were outnumbered by nearly 5,000 men, but that didn't matter. They were fresh, but we were battle-hardened and had justice on our side.
All right.
As the battle raged around us, I faced off with Rhaegar, the stag and the dragon right there in the ford of the river. I fought with the fury of 10 men, raining blow after blow upon that vile prince before burying my warhammer in his chest.
Nice.
I hit him so hard the rubies on his armor broke free, flinging them into the stream. They call it the Ruby Ford now. With that scum Rhaegar dead and the royal army
Battlehammer
shattered,
took him out.
our next move was to make for King's Landing. But I'd sustained a few
I love
wounds
his
in
helmet.
the battle and was unable to ride. I sent Ned Stark to the capital to face the Mad King and make him pay
So
for his
Ned
crimes.
did it. Well, I mean, I'm sure he would want to. Robert's Rebellion. Now we get Viserys' side of it. But yeah, where his
The
big brother
Targaryens,
died.
blood of the dragon, and the last of old Valyria, were loved by their subjects.
No, they weren't.
And admired far and wide as the greatest dynasty in the history
Oh, so
of
that's
the
where they
Western
had the
world.
big dragon skulls.
But the peace and prosperity of
In
nearly
the-
3 centuries of Targaryen rule was shattered by the usurper, Robert Baratheon, and his band of traitors. House Baratheon owed its very existence to the Targaryens. Was it not Aegon the Dragon himself who elevated the bastard Orys Baratheon in the War of Conquest? And what of the Starks, the Lannisters, the Aarons of the Vale? All had been spared and allowed to keep their lands when Aegon could easily have wiped them out. Centuries later, the usurper and his lackeys repaid Aegon's benevolence with treachery. There are some who dare to claim Robert and his allies had reason to rebel. They say the Crown Prince stole the usurper's lady love. They say my father, King Aerys, murdered Rickard Stark and his son without just cause.
Which is true.
Whether these charges are true or not, it doesn't matter. The dragon answers to no one. Aerys' good
That's
name
why he has
has
such a
been
big head,
besmirched in
hat.
the years since the rebellion. He's been called a dangerous madman, a monster, a tyrant that brought his tragic end upon himself. Lies! My father was a victim of weaklings in his council.
Yeah.
Lackwits who failed him in his hour of need and let the rebellion spin out of control.
Okay. I mean, he hired them, didn't he?
The royal
Yeah, I
army was
love that
crushed at
stag
the Battle of
helmet.
the Trident. It was there the valiant Rhaegar met Robert in single combat, but the gods betrayed him. and he perished by the usurper's hand.
This is such great writing. I love that he's like, yeah, it's just so in denial. Even the gods were the ones that betrayed him, rather than everyone else is in the wrong but me and my people. And that was his mindset till the end for the series. He was such a great actor, character. I kind of wish we got more of him, but hey, there's stakes in this story.
As the field of fire had marked the end of the Andals centuries before, the Battle of the Trident seemed to herald the end of the Dragon Kings. When word reached the capital of my brother Rhaegar's death, my father Aerys moved to protect me, as I was the surviving heir.
And he got you out of there. Oh, so you were young.
He sent me to the island fortress of Dragonstone, along with my mother, Queen Rhaela, who was great with child.
Dragonstone. So that's where they were at
As
the
my
beginning of the
father,
story.
my king, Aerys Targaryen, prepared to defend his throne to the bitter end. Little did he know of the horrors and betrayals that awaited him.
Oh, is that Daenerys in the background? Alright, House Baratheon, let's go. And this is their rule, I guess.
Ours is the fury. These are the words of the Black Stag of Baratheon.
Ours is the fury.
A battle cry echoed throughout the land in rebellion when I, Robert Baratheon, the first of his name, seized the Iron Throne from the Mad King, Aerys Targaryen.
Yo, can I just say, what's up with the different animation styles in this? I'm loving it. So, okay, are we getting like, kind of like, escalation of, like the different types of, record keeping through history? Is that what I'm getting through these visuals? Like more just like, you know, different records written on scrolls or whatever over time. And now that we're getting to the time of like, you know, the lineage is closer to us, they would have these written down in like historic books or whatever, telling these epic tales. And that's what we're seeing. Because I think that's epic. How they're
ending a dynasty nearly 300 years old. House Baratheon was born in the Wars of Conquest, when Aegon the Dragon invaded Westeros. Aegon sent his commander, Orys Baratheon, to take Storm's End. Argilac the Arrogant, the last of the Storm Kings, foolishly left the safety of his stronghold, and met the Baratheon warlord in open battle. Argilac was soundly defeated,
so he was
and Orys took his lands, his holdings, and his daughter. Orys was said to be a half-brother to Aegon Targaryen. If this were true, a little blood of the dragon mingled with that of the stag in those days.
Wow.
The seat of House Baratheon is Storm's End, a legendary keep raised in the Age of Heroes. It overlooks Shipbreaker's Bay, where legend has it that Durin, the first Storm King, raised the keep with the aid of Bran the Builder.
So those are...
forging a centuries-long connection with the Stormlands and the North.
Yeah.
After Aegon's conquest of the Seven Kingdoms, the Baratheons remained loyal enough to the crown, while Targaryen kings came and went. But loyalty has its limits.
Yep. Once you come from my girl,
Rhaegar Targaryen, Aerys' vile son and heir, abducted Lyanna Stark, my betrothed, my beloved.
I wonder how true that story is. What if she had gone away with him?
We raised our banners, Baratheon, Stark,
Targaryen.
Jon Arryn, and the Tullys, united in rebellion against Rhaegar and his father, the Mad King. We were victorious and took the Iron Throne. That bit of dragon blood in my veins came in well, as it made me a distant relation to the Targaryen dynasty blood of my long-lost ancestor, Orys. The truth of it is, I took it. I sit on the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
I rule the Seven Kingdoms from the Red Keep.
Yeah, but you're leaving out that Ned was the one that took the final steps to get rid of frickin' the Mad King, Aerys. So yeah, so it was Aerys was the son of Aegon, or grandson. I'm still not understanding the lineages. The Sack of King's Landing by Maester Luwin. Okay.
Robert Baratheon's victory at the Trident was a turning point in the war for the Iron Throne. While it was clear the gods were smiling on the rebel forces, Aerys Targaryen still held the Red Keep at King's Landing. As Robert was wounded and unable to ride, it was up to Eddard Stark to make for the capital and force the Mad King to give up the throne. Lord Stark reached the city gates to find that Tywin Lannister, Lord of Casterly Rock, had already sacked the city in Robert's Main. House Lannister had remained neutral up to this point, ignoring requests for help from both the Crown and the rebels. Now that Robert's eventual victory was assured, it seemed Lord Tywin had finally chosen a side. Lord Eddard was horrified by what he saw when he entered the city. Homes looted and burned, women raped, scores of innocent citizens killed. Disgusted, he led his force up Visenya's hill to the Red Keep. Upon entering the throne room, he found King Aerys lying in a pool of blood.
Get revenge, boy.
By the hand of his own sworn King's Guard, Jaime Lannister.
Good.
Who sat
The only good thing
upon the throne,
Jaime's done.
demanding to know the whereabouts of Queen Rhaela. Lord Eddard was informed the Queen and her son Viserys had been spirited away to Dragonstone before the Lannisters arrived. But other members of the royal family were not as fortunate. Elia, Martell of Dorne, who was the wife of Prince Rhaegar, had been raped and murdered by Ser Grigor Clegane on Lord Tywin's orders.
Wow.
Ser Grigor and his men had also butchered Rhaegar's young children. When Robert was well enough to reach the capital, Lord Eddard demanded the Lannisters answer for their heinous crimes.
Drawings are amazing.
Robert refused, and sent him south to relieve the Baratheon stronghold of Storm's
Come
End,
on. Sorry.
which was still under.
I'll go back to it in a second. But yeah, I was
When
saying,
Robert was well enough
that's
to
a
reach the
spitting
capital,
image of Robert when he was
Lord
under-
Eddard demanded the Lannisters answer for their heinous crimes. Robert refused, and sent him south to relieve the Baratheon stronghold of Storm's End, which was still under siege by forces loyal to the crown.
That is
Whatever
just so
words
fucking
passed between the two old friends and
good-spirited man was.
But Lord Eddard is said to have left King's Landing in anger. Later, when Robert was crowned, he appointed Jon Arryn as Hand of the King. Lord Arryn's first
So
order.
Jon Arryn was the one that, oh, and he was the one that was murdered. It's all making sense. So Jon Arryn was the one that, like, brought Robert and Ned up, almost. And he became Hand of the King and then was murdered. Okay, so that's what would get Ned back in the game to want to come and become the new Hand of the King. And yeah, Ned being disgusted by what happened at King's Landing. Again, he should have always been the king, but again, the people that want power the least are the ones that should be the kings most, but...
of business was to broker a truce with the Martells of Dorne, who were outraged by the brutal murder of Princess Elia and her children. Following the death of Lyanna Stark, who had been betrothed to Robert, houses Baratheon and Lannister were joined in marriage when the new king took Tywin Lannister's eldest daughter Cersei as his queen.
Okay.
As for Eddard Stark, he returned to his stronghold of Winterfell, forever haunted by his sister's death and the shameful way that Robert had secured his throne.
So that's why he was wary of Robert. And Robert kept, oh yeah, Rob will probably big it up in his version of it, but yeah, I'll just go, yeah. Robert says, those were the days, those were the days, you know.
For our rebellion
And
to
that is like,
succeed,
brother,
King's Landing had to be
raped
taken
and pillaged that
forcefully. No one was foolish enough to believe that Aerys was going to hand his crown over peacefully. The Mad King's reign needed to end. What Tywin Lannister's forces did was unfortunate, but it was necessary to secure the Iron Throne and bring peace and justice to the Seven Kingdoms.
Of course it was Tywin's people that
My
did it.
glorious victory at the Trident left me wounded, but I sent my personal maester to attend to Sir Barristan Selmy instead. His wounds were more severe. Even though Sir Barristan was a member of Aerys's King's Guard and fought on the opposing side, that man's bravery and loyalty was something to behold. This meant my wounds would take longer to heal, and I couldn't ride to King's Landing myself.
So maesters are healers as well. Interesting.
I sent the one man I trusted over anyone else in this world, Ned Stark, in my place. Had I been able to ride, perhaps I could have reached King's Landing sooner and prevented some of the violence that occurred when the Lannisters entered the city. Still, what Lord Tywin did was for the greater good.
Okay,
Even
so
what-
I was giving that some of that damage to Robb, but I mean, yeah, the damage was done, blaming some of that on Robb, but it really was the Lannisters' fault, of course.
Happened to Princess Elia and her children. Babies or no, theirs was the same cursed blood that flowed within the Mad King's veins. They were dragon spawn and couldn't be allowed to survive.
Wow.
What would they grow to be? Loyal subjects.
So that's why, again, Robb is so scared knowing Daenerys and Viserys were alive.
Ned with his damn northern honor. He and I had our first major fight over the deaths of the Targaryen children.
Or knife.
Ned called it murder. Murder. It was war.
War is a series of murders, buddy. That is what war is.
Stark demanded that the Lannisters be held responsible for their crimes. Was it a crime to put an end to a family of lunatics born of incest? I wouldn't and still won't blame Tywin. Instead, I sent Ned Stark south to finish off the remaining Targaryen loyalists.
I don't know what I was expecting.
It was only Lyanna Stark's death that reconciled us. Ned had lost his sister. I had lost my betrothed and beloved. We shared that sad bond together, Ned and I.
Yep.
Through it, our friendship was made strong again. As for the Mad King's surviving heirs, those that were able to scurry away in the face of my fury now live somewhere across the narrow sea. They had best stay there. If they ever set foot in Westeros again, they will face the King's justice.
And I mean, they're headed to set foot where you to King's Landing, but you're dead already, buddy, by a fucking boar. But by also being given a little bit too much to drink.
Rhaegar Targaryen lay dead on the banks of the Trident, his royal army shattered and in retreat. The days of the Dragon Kings were clearly numbered. Until that moment, it would have been foolish to commit Casterly Rock to either the Crown or the Rebellion. What would our family have to gain in supporting a raving madman? Or in entering a crusade to put Robert Baratheon on the
So they were hedging their bets. They were playing both
chaos
sides.
Benefits no one. It was time for House Lannister to do what it could to ensure a return of peace and prosperity
Yeah,
to the land.
you care so much about
I,
everyone else.
Tywin Lannister, brought 10,000 Lannister troops to the gates of King's Landing in order to bring the bloodshed to a quick and decisive conclusion. King Aerys had been sending ravens for months, begging for my support to end the uprising. In a way, his pleas had been answered. As I had suspected, Aerys opened the city gates and welcomed my men. Our plan was clear: crush Aerys' remaining bannermen and remove the remnants of the royal family as quickly and efficiently as possible. Any alternative meant years of further war and a fragmented Seven
That's how you
Kingdoms.
justify it, sure.
Our means were bloody, but the results speak for themselves. As for Aerys, it is true he met his fate at the hands of my son.
Cheater.
Aerys had kept Jaime close during the rebellion, thinking himself clever in keeping my son as a hostage, should I decide to pledge support to the rebel cause. This proved to be his greatest mistake. But when the time came, Jaime did his duty as a Lannister.
He struck.
And drove his sword into the Mad King's back.
A literal
With that,
backstabber.
Robert Baratheon's crown was secured. The new king recognized our role in his ascension to the throne, just as he recognized how useful the might and riches of Casterly Rock would be if he wanted to keep it. To that end, I offered my daughter Cersei as his queen. Had Aerys not spurned this same offer years earlier, perhaps things would have worked out differently. With Robert and Cersei crowned as king and queen of the Seven Kingdoms, it was a new day. The dragon was vanquished, and the Seven Kingdoms would thereafter belong to the stag and the lion.
And they were just Waiting for their time to strike. The lion, whatever. The lion was waiting. The lion. The Sack of King's Landing by Viserys now.
The Battle of the Trident may have been an important victory for the usurper, but it was the treachery and barbarism of Tywin Lannister that sealed the fate of the Targaryen dynasty. My father, King Aerys, had ever been a friend to the Lions of the Rock. Aerys graciously brought Tywin to court, making him the youngest hand of the king in history. He gave him power. He gave him respect. He made it possible for Tywin to restore House Lannister to glory.
Good.
Aerys and Tywin governed side by side for 20 prosperous years.
And then he started to hate him.
Still, when the usurper called his banners in rebellion, Tywin Lannister ignored his king's pleas for help and stayed holed up in his stronghold of Casterly Rock. In time, my brother, Prince Rhaegar, was dead. The realm was in turmoil, and the usurper's forces were said to be riding.
Oh, so the whole banners thing, them denying, like, no, we're not going to help you. That there's precedent for that then, which makes sense.
For King's Landing.
Like what happened with Robb.
What a glorious sight it must have been when a force of 10,000 Lannister men showed up at the gate of the capital with Lord Tywin at their head, pledging support to his beleaguered king. Aerys opened the gates for his old friend. Instead, Lannister and his men proceeded to plunder and destroy the city.
So the Lannisters figuratively backstabbed all of King's Landing and then literally backstabbed King Aerys.
Terrorized. Jaime Lannister, son of Lord Tywin, proved every bit as treacherous. He killed
the Mad King has
father,
those like evil warlock fingernails going on.
The Lannisters entered the Red Keep and Tywin ordered the deaths of the rest of the royal family. It is said Princess Rhaenys was found cowering under her father's bed and put to the sword. She was only a child. As for Rhaegar's widow, Elia, she was forced to watch as Lannister thugs dashed her baby son's head against a wall before being raped and murdered herself.
Yikes.
As I was the heir to my father's throne, I had been spirited away to Dragonstone with my mother, Queen Rhaela, who was with child. As a raging summer storm battered the island fortress and destroyed the Targaryen fleet as it lay at anchor, my sister, Daenerys, was born.
Wow.
My mother, the Queen, died giving birth.
Wow.
Now, some 17 years later, the rightful king still lives in exile.
I love the three-headed dragon
but a day of reckoning
banner, or whatever you would call that thing.
I will sail west as Aegon the Dragon did centuries before. I will take back.
So he was 17 at the start of the story? Jesus. The actor definitely was a little bit older than that. But
treacherous dogs who sought to destroy my family.
Oh, I remember someone saying that they made all the characters older than they are in the books. So maybe this is more related to the books. Alright, House Aaron by Catelyn Stark.
In the snow-capped mountains of the moon,
another art style.
Standing high above the rich
it looks like a stained glass.
Vale stands the Eyrie, a storied and impregnable fortress said to have been built by the legendary Mountain Kings in the Age of Heroes.
Are we gonna see it be impregnated further in the story? They keep talking about how impregnable it is. We shall see.
It is the stronghold of House Aaron, one of the oldest noble families in Westeros. Their sigil, a soaring falcon over a crescent moon. Their words, as high as honor. The Aarons are direct descendants of the Andal invaders, who sailed across the narrow sea and came ashore at the Fingers. According to legend, Sir Artus Aaron, known as the Winged Knight, soared through the sky atop a giant falcon, landing on the peak of the
there were
highest
big
mountain,
birds.
where he defeated the Griffin King in battle. It was the Andal's first great victory over the First Men, and Sir Artus was duly rewarded. He was declared King of the Mountain and the Vale, and the region was renamed the Vale of Aaron. Thousands of years later, Aegon the Conqueror arrived in Westeros. House Arryn bent the knee to Aegon and his dragons, and were allowed to maintain the control of the region as Lords Paramount of the Vale and Wardens of the East. Over the centuries, House Arryn remained loyal to the Targaryen dynasty, until Lord Jon Arryn joined with Houses Baratheon and Stark in rebellion against Mad King Aerys.
Oh man, I love that. It looks almost
Upon
like
winning the
that
Iron
painting,
Throne,
Guernica.
Robert named
in
Lord
this
Jon
composition.
Hand of the King, a position he held until his mysterious death.
So Jon Arryn was from there. Okay. Oh, duh, Arryn. Vale of Arryn, Jon Arryn. One sec. Arryn hailed from. All right, and got House Lannister by Tywin. This is just like the different stories of the house.
On the far western coast of the continent, high atop a rocky promontory overlooking the Sunset Sea, sits Casterly Rock, ancestral seat of House Lannister. Below it lies Lannisport, one of the great cities of Westeros, a center for trade, culture, and the great Lannister fleet. There are a number of gold and silver mines in the Westerlands, making it the richest region in all of Westeros. One of the most productive mines lies beneath Casterly Rock itself, making House Lannister the wealthiest of all the noble houses.
Yep.
This allows House Lannister to finance many endeavors of other noble houses. Even the king himself has sought credit from Casterly Rock from time to time. We Lannisters claim our descent from the Andal invaders, and through the female bloodline, Lan the Clever. According to the legend, Lan, using only his wits, won Casterly Rock from the noble House of Casterly during the Age of Heroes.
Yeah, that's what we heard about before. Lan. Again, so they're just known to be sneaky, trickery people. Damn.
The Lannisters reigned as kings of the Rock for thousands of years, and worked to make it the envy of the rest of the Seven Kingdoms. Our time as kings ended, however, when Aegon Targaryen, otherwise known as Aegon the Conqueror, arrived in Westeros with his army. The last king of the Rock, King Loren Lannister, joined forces with King Mern Gardener, the king of the Reach. Together, with 60,000 men, they met the Targaryen host in open battle. History tells us that Aegon unleashed all 3 of his dragons, slaughtering 4,000 men at what came to be known as the Field of Fire. King Mern himself was burned alive that day, and House Gardener turned to ash with him. Seeing both the threat and opportunity the Targaryens represented, Loren wisely surrendered and aided Aegon in his further conquest of Westeros. The Lannisters were thus appointed Lords Paramount of the Westerlands and Wardens of the West, titles we hold to this day.
Westeros.
Let us be clear, though. It is neither luck nor royal favor that makes our house prosperous.
What is it then?
There have been times in our history where some have thought us weak, lazy, or opulent. My father, Titus Lannister, nearly bankrupted our house with his poor investments, and allowed himself to be mocked openly at court.
So Titus...
When our vassal, the Rains of Castamere, dared to rise up against the Lannisters, they learned how dangerous it can be to taunt a lion. I, Tywin Lannister, led the assault on Castamere to put down this rebellion. I made an example of them, to anyone who doubts our might. They even made a quaint song about the fates of the Rains of Castamere. Sadly, there are no Rains left to hear it. Today, the Golden Lion of Lannister is rightly admired and feared throughout the Seven Kingdoms. Our words are, "Hear me roar." But there are other words that
I want to hear
you
yelp. I want to hear your grandson yelp when he gets killed.
When crossing a lion of Casterly Rock. A Lannister always pays his debts.
Not true. And here we go. By Bran Stark. No Ned. We don't get to get any Ned. House Stark by Bran Stark and Robb Stark. Alright. I think this is the last one.
The Starks of Winterfell trace their descent to the first men in the Age of Heroes. The family's founder was Brandon the Builder, who, in the aftermath of the Long Night, helped establish the Night's Watch. Legend has it he enlisted the aid of giants and the powerful magic of the Children of the Forest to raise the mighty wall,
So it was
which
magical.
protected the realm for generations. He went on to build the ancestral seat of Winterfell and reigned as the first king in the north.
Nice. So Bran the Builder. So he's literally named after... Bran's literally named after, like, the father
Starks
of the
reigned as kings for
ancestral
thousands of
line.
years, even withstanding the invasion of the Andals. As the southern kingdoms fell and the children of the forest were driven away, the north stood strong, maintaining its religious customs and its way of life.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Old gods.
the reign of the kings of winter
Alright.
came to an end with the coming of Aegon the
Old
Conqueror.
gods.
After Aegon and his dragons destroyed the combined armies of the Reach and the Rock at the Field of Fire, King Torrhen Stark bent the knee and swore fealty to the Targaryen dynasty in order to spare the destruction of Winterfell and his people. He was forever after known as the King Who Knelt. As a reward for his submission, Aegon named Torrhen Lord of Winterfell
That's their
and Warden of the
old
North.
tree.
The Starks take great pride in their history and traditions. It is one of the few noble houses that still keeps the old gods.
Yep.
The sacred weirwood tree looms large in Winterfell's Godswood. Its ancestral sword, Ice, was forged in ancient Valyria and has been passed down through the
And
generations.
that's what they used to fucking
House
kill
Stark
Ned.
remains steadfast in its support of the Night's Watch, even as the once
And that's the one
illustrious
he
order.
probably used at the beginning of the season to chop that guy's head off that left his post.
has formed on hard times. Much like their sigil, the Grey Direwolf, House Stark is the stuff of legend in the north and throughout the Seven Kingdoms.
Hell yeah.
And their family words, winter is coming,
Serve as a reminder of their beginnings in the wake of the long night and a grim portent of things to come.
Oh man. Oh man. I'm gonna Stark till I die, y'all. We're gonna ride for the Starks forever. Holy shit. I feel like I just went through a good old lecture, and I love school. I love fucking a good old lecture. But history, I didn't take many history classes, so this was a fun ass experience. And I'm not gonna lie, like I did American history and some Latin American history. Yeah. I did study political science, so I mainly did like modern government forms and stuff like in Europe and elsewhere in the world. But damn, this is so fun to get so much background for like I feel like all the motivations, character motivations I learned here today will greatly help me understand so much of like, yeah, again, if you those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. So even though I'm not influencing the story, like me understanding the history will help me understand what motivates so many of the characters to do what they do in this story. This was an amazing experience. Going into it, I was like, I'm not sure what I'll gain from this. Like, I knew it'd be fun to get like some lore from the books, but this helps so much with me understanding. Oh my goodness, I got, what is it? Just like 4 pages of notes here, but yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of them because I just basically spoke most of them out while we were talking. But I just really appreciated getting the far back lore for like the just which helped me understand Westeros a lot more, you know, and it helps me understand that like, yeah, the magic here is like we're in a world past magic, or some people, yeah, I love the whole thing with them talking about the freaking Mad Lord Aerys is him using fire, you know, magical fire or whatever to burn them versus people saying it was wildfire he used and stuff like that. Like just different perspectives. Getting the different perspectives definitely really informed. Was interesting, I must say. It was really interesting to help me realize, yeah, the history is just like in real life, very much there's not one objective version of it. It's told through many different people's perspectives. Unlike the story we're watching the show where we're seeing the events happen verbatim, the past that's just like for the characters in the story. It's they're most likely to believe the Starks will believe the Stark version, Lannisters will believe the Lannister version, and the Targaryens will believe the Targaryen version. But yeah, I loved it. All makes sense now. It's all coming together. I get it. I get that, you know, what motivated Ned to want to become, after Jon Arryn died, to become the Hand of the King. It helps me understand that the Targaryens are scummy fucking people that are never to be trusted, to be fair. And the only thing I feel bad about is that, yeah, my reaction to one of the most important parts, it got cut out or whatever. The camera died then, but of us hearing from Rob's perspective, yeah, what happened. Ugh. Sorry, that will not happen again, folks. But what else? I think I'm gonna do this in Premiere form, so I'll premiere this on YouTube, and hopefully y'all will be answering my questions. A lot of the questions I ask get answered later in the video, but I'm still hoping that y'all will answer them in the live, you know, stream comments or whatever. But in the future, I think it would be interesting to live stream this, to just go through, but I'd have to have a moderator for that, because I would not want any spoilers and people sharing spoilers in the comments. So I have to get a moderator for it, and that's far in the future. We only got season 2 coming up next to go through first. But I loved this. I loved the different art styles, the animation. I took it for granted a little bit at the beginning because they were repeating a lot of the animation we saw there, but it was still fantastic. Just the designs of everything we saw. I loved it. I truly loved it. And yeah, I like that there's no spoilers, guys. Going forward, it's like all of these were like texts written before the start of season 1, so they all give information up to this point. And now I kind of get why people are saying that maybe watch this towards the beginning of the season or whatever, which is interesting to me. In the future, if y'all think I should maybe do these to start the season rather than to end them, let me know. But right now, I'm going to be hopping right into season 2 of Game of Thrones. This has got me so hyped to watch the first episode, and I'm going to hop into it right now after I finish filming and editing this and posting it up on YouTube. But oh my goodness. So by the time you see this up on YouTube, you can go onto the Patreon and watch the uncut. You can load up HBO and watch along with me to the first episode, which will be amazing. And yeah, we're gonna start season 2. This is amazing, folks. I can't wait to be able to pull out my knowledge now with season 2 and be like, yeah, I know why it's called Valyrian Steel, and I know what the dragons' names were. I didn't write the dragons' names down, but yeah, it's just so cool to see the motivations for why the Lannisters. But I get the motivation for the Targaryens wanting. Oh, I was gonna say the Targaryens, their incestuous thing going on because they're like so few of them. But the Lannisters, I think it's just because they want power so much. They need the baby to be one of theirs or whatever, not to be a Baratheon or yeah. And I just really loved the far back lore with like the castle being built over and over again, and like the Bran the Builder and all that stuff. It's pretty straightforward. Like honestly, I was expecting there to be more nuance, but now I feel like my main brain is mapped out a lot of Westeros and just the different cultures, the different kingdoms' motivations and their past stories. So yeah, thank you guys so much for this suggestion. Thank you so much for watching with me, and don't forget to like. I'm sure you've already commented if you were watching this live, but please leave comments on YouTube if you're watching this post the premiere, and yeah, just answer any of the questions. And yeah, I'm loving this show. I'm loving the lore. And I'm loving watching this with you guys, y'all. I greatly appreciate all the support we got through season 1, and now we're headed into season 2 of Game of Thrones. What's next, folks? What's up, stupid?